So I picked up these craft frame things from Michael's. They were $1 each, and they just screamed at me, "I want to be a dice box." Normally these back pieces are tacked on with nails, but these are screwed on, so I'll have to take them off. As for the staples with the rope, I could not get those staples out, so I cut off the rope and I burned down the ends. To keep the lid closed, I'll need something to line the inside. So let's measure the sides. This is 2 9/16 inches, or 6.6 centimeters. I believe the people who made this box were into metric. So that's what we're going to use on this project. We're going to go with metric. And what we're going to line it with is jumbo popsicle sticks. I'll use my mat to make a pair of squared marks so that I have a starting place for my measurements. Then I'll measure out to 6.6 centimeters for each piece. I can get about 3 pieces out of one stick. To cut the popsicle stick, I'm going to use a box cutter. It's strong, durable, just be very careful with it. Don't try to cut all the way through in one pass. The main objective here is to score it enough that you can just flex it and break it with a clean seam. So once I've got 6 pieces cut, I give it a test fit. It's a little tight, so I'm going to need to do some sanding. Once I got them to fit, I test fit the other piece to make sure that it would slide on. I love it when a project comes together. Now I just use some Elmer's PVA glue and glue them in. Did I mention that I got a really tight fit? I've made a homemade emery board using some sandpaper glued to a popsicle stick, and I'm going to use that to help round down some of the corners. And I'm going to use some PVA glue, or white glue, to fill in the corners and make sure I got a good bond. At this point, you might want to apply wood stain, but I'm going to paint mine black. All black, like the deepest recesses of the Underdark. Once there's paint on the inner walls and lip, I give it another test fit, just to make sure the paint hasn't made it too thick to fit together. It's a tight fit, so I'm going to have to do some sanding. I'm even going to round over the inner lip of the lid. Once everything's been sanded, test fitted, and repainted, it's time to cover it all in gloss Mod Podge. I'm only going to coat the outside. I'm not going to coat any of the inner pieces, as I'm afraid they might cause it to no longer fit together, or worse, get stuck together. I'm going to line it in felt, so I'm going to need a hexagon template. Here's how I'm going to make it. First, I need to measure the total width of the hexagon from one corner to another. I measured 13.2 centimeters. So here's how you're going to make a hexagon template. Draw a line in the center of the template and mark a point in the center of that line. Grab your handy protractor, line it up to the line and to the center point, and then place marks at 60 degrees and 120 degrees. Do this for both sides of the line. Connect the dots to make an X. Now just measure 6.6 centimeters from the center point along any of the lines and place a mark. 6.6 being half of 13.2 centimeters. Then connect the outer dots to make the hexagon. Cut the whole thing out and you've got your template. I trace out the template twice on some orange felt and then cut them out. I give them each a test fit before gluing them in. The hexagon for the base will need to be a little bit smaller, so I'll need to trim off just a hair off of each side. I spread on some PVA glue, making sure to get it into all the corners. I don't want the felt peeling up at the edges. I press it in, making sure to get it as flat as possible and tuck in the edges into the corners as best I can. I took a new inside measurement, and it's 6.4 centimeters. Times 6 sides, that's 38.4. So I draw a straight line in the felt at 38.4 centimeters long. The popsicles I used for the interior measure 3 centimeters wide, so I'm going to measure 2.5 centimeters from the line I drew to make a strip or ribbon of felt. This will coat the inside walls. Cut out the strip and glue it in. Just make sure that the side where you put all your marks gets glued face down. Finally, I carefully add the strip. Now, felt is a fabric that can be stretched, and it doesn't stretch back, but it means that I may have to trim some off at the end. And sure enough, I do. And one last check for fit. Man, that's snug. I don't think I'm even going to need magnets to hold this closed. Now to fill it. Those are arcade tokens from the before times for all you youngsters out there. I use them for inspiration tokens or whatever other kind of tokens I might need for the game I'm playing. And dice. Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. Also, join us on the Tabletop Crafters Guild on Facebook. I'd love to see what you're making.